Okay, so Mazda has revealed the CX-90, and to some, it's very disappointing, but we'll get right into that. So starting from the front, we have a very similar front fascia compared to the CX-90. The only difference is the front bumper is a little more sporty with these wider openings here. Going around the vehicle, you can see some black accents throughout the exterior on the grills, the mirrors, the window trim, and this is what's going to differentiate it a bit, ever so slightly, from the CX-90. And you notice that we have these nice looking 21-inch wheels. These are going to be unique to the CX-70. Based on the few comments I've read, the United States CX-90s have black cladding, while the Canadian models have body colored painting. If this is true, this is a massive L for the United States, and I think the black plastic cheapens the look quite a bit. But if we take a look in the CX-90, we see that it's body colored on upper tier trims. So hopefully Mazda does this for the CX-70. But moving to the rear, it's almost the same as the CX-90 except for a revised rear bumper. I was hoping they had made the rear just a little more attractive and differentiated a little bit from the CX-90. Mazda has not been specific on the exact vehicle dimensions, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the exact same as the CX-90. So moving to the inside, the CX-90 has the same 12.3-inch digital dash and the same 12.3-inch digital infotainment as the CX-90. They did make an update to this by adding Amazon Alexa. There is an available red Napa leather trim, and this is coupled with red stitching. Mazda says that this is inspired by the 100th anniversary special edition Mazda MX-5. It's more of this wine red or burgundy, and I like this color quite a lot. This is the best thing that they added to the vehicle. I don't know if Mazda is going to keep the stitching along the dashboard, the Kakanui stitching like in the CX-90, and Mazda has not shown any press photos detailing this as well. As we know, the big thing here is that Mazda deleted the third row from the CX-90 and basically called it a CX-70. But they did add something here like remote folding rear seats to the second row. I guess it's a little bit convenient, but I don't think it's particularly needed on a two-row vehicle. And I feel like this would be a feature more suitable for a three-row vehicle. Speaking of the seats, I don't think Mazda moved the second row back for any more space for the rear seat passengers, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Based on the CX-90, we can expect ample cargo room for the CX-70. I'd expect about 40.1 cubic feet with the second row up. If you want to fold down the second row, I'd expect 75.2 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Mazda also added a sub-truck underneath the floor that allows you to store stuff in there as well, which is useful, I guess. A funny oversight is that they left the cup holders from the CX-90 in the trunk, so I thought that was a little bit funny. Mazda also added some new assistant technologies. One of these is addition to cruise and traffic support called unresponsive driver support that adds an emergency-only system to automatically decelerate the vehicle to a stop if the system detects the driver is unresponsive to escalating alerts. Personally, I'd like to see a demonstration of how this works because in most cars, it takes a few seconds for the vehicle to tell you to put your hands back on the steering wheel. And if you're already having a medical emergency while moving, you could be in a ditch in less than a few seconds. So I guess you'll have your other driver assistance features helping you out, I guess. The CX-70 gets the same powertrains as the CX-90, meaning a turbocharged 3.3-liter inline-six and a 48-volt mod hybrid system. There are two tunes for this engine. One is going to be the 280 horsepower with 332 pound-feet of torque, and the other is the 340 horsepower rating with 369 pound-feet of torque. The next is the plug-in hybrid that uses a 2.5-liter four-cylinder gasoline engine paired with a 17.8 kilowatt battery to produce 323 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. All of these have an 8-speed automatic transmission, and they only come with all-wheel drive, although the CX-70 is rear-wheel drive based. The CX-70 also shares the same suspension setup, which features a double wishbone design on the front and multi-link independent for the rear. Like the CX-90, the CX-70 could probably tow up to 5,000 pounds when properly equipped. Reps from Mazda said that they found the CX-90's range of trim levels to be confusing, so I'd expect less trims here, but at the same time, Mazda has kind of made it more confusing for consumers by basically introducing what is a CX-90, but with only 2 rows. Pricing, it could be up to a couple grand off the CX-90's price. I don't think the discount will be worth it, in my opinion, if it's any less than that. If it's miraculously 4 to 5 grand cheaper than the CX-90, you're making people who shell out money for the CX-90 just a little bit more upset because they spent that amount of cash. It's just a lose-lose situation for the Mazda developers in the case of the CX-90. So what do I think? Personally, I'm a little disappointed, and I think Mazda could have put out better than this, to be honest. I'm sure I would have I've loved to see something closer to the CX-60, but I can understand sticking with the same wheelbase and the width because developing stuff costs money. Although Mazda doesn't have to develop anything in the first place, they could literally just bring the CX-60 as it is if they wanted. That said, Mazda did not do anything to change up the rear and make it smaller, which makes no sense to me. And I don't imagine people wanting to drive an SUV that's 200 inches in length that doesn't have a third row because of the maneuverability, parking, city driving, etc. I can understand the CX-70 appealing to some because of the massive cargo area, but there's no benefit to choosing the CX-70 over the CX-90 because you can always fold down the third row and have the same cargo area along with the third row if when you need the third row. Some of the trims of the CX-90 come standard with captain chairs, but even if you're seating more than 3 people in the rear, you can always fold down one of the seats and still have enough room to carry your cargo in like 95% of cases for most people. And this sort of makes the CX-70 a little bit pointless within the Mazda lineup. By shortening the CX-90, Mazda could have made a cheaper alternative to the BMW X5 or a nicer alternative to the Crown Signa, which only comes in hybrid, and you still have other SUVs like the Passport and the VW Crossport that are around the same length, and they could have sold it for less than the starting price of the Acura RDX. The CX-70 we got should have just been another trim of the CX-90 in my opinion. That's pretty much all I have to say on the CX-70. Tell me what you think below. Do you think the vehicle is pointless? Are you actually interested in this vehicle? Say it all right below in the comment section, which is right below the like button. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace.